right, hey everyone, I'm David Room, uh, coming to you tonight with some more work on low poly spacecraft modeling, game development, shader programming type stuff. About a week ago, I was working on finally adding some glowing bits to my spaceships. I talked a lot about how the spacecraft drives work in my fictional setting and why they don't have rocket engines and why I was adding glowing details. Um, so you can check that other stream out if you're curious about those details. But we made some good headway on that, and since that stream, I've added the drive details to a couple other ships, and I did something kind of big, which was um, updating the shader. Well, actually, now that I think about it, there's two streams. There was one stream where we did the drive details. There's another stream where we did a little bit of shader programming. And since then, I've gone and added uh, a lot more stuff to the glow shader, which we'll get into. And we've added enough capabilities now to that shader that we can actually uh, replace another shader that I was using for the glowing radiators on my ships with this new shader. And I've started kind of reworking some aspects of the game, uh, and some of the data structures that I'm using for managing things like shader inputs and materials to deal with that. So we're going to work more on that. I think this should be pretty interesting visually in terms of, seeing some neat 3D modeling, some I don't know if we'll do more shader programming tonight, but at least like some shader input type stuff and kind of like the infrastructure involved there. And I'm also excited because I found some new music too. So I have been playing White Bat audio, but I made a really pleasant discovery, which is that this dark electronic music that I sometimes listen to from a channel called Aim to Head is actually free according to their descriptions in their channel to use for monetized YouTube videos. So we're gonna try it, see what happens. Hopefully I don't get flagged for using this. I've got the credit in the description, and we're gonna be listening to their it's called their free Cyberpunk 2077 beats and background music. And I'm curious to see how this works because this music is pretty intense. So hopefully it won't it won't get me overexcited. But um, I've had interesting past couple days because actually my third child was just born, and so I'm kind of a night owl anyways. But maybe been getting a little bit less sleep than usual. Um, but the baby's doing well. It's his kind of sleepy time of the evening, so I think it's going to be a good time for me to do some streaming. And I see FlyFox Pro in the chat. He's a friend of mine from Twitter. He says, "Is this that new Halo 2 game?" I'm not sure what you're talking about, FlyFox Pro. If you're listening, maybe you could explain if there's a joke that I'm missing or something. But this is not a Halo 2 game, and it is maybe newer than Halo 2, but in some ways a lot more primitive. But it's my project, so I've got my coffee and water. Let's get some exciting music going here and see what happens. All right. Okay, so I'll show a little bit of how things are looking here. Let me actually. It's a little bit loud for me. Okay. So I was actually debugging this new shader that I wrote because I thought I did something wrong, but it turned out to just be I had mistyped a color. So a couple of things were looking different when they should have not looked different. But I'm going to revert that here, and then we can this. So for people who might be new, I generate all of the assets for my game with code. And usually my streams kind of cover some combination of that, game development, and kind of high detail 3D art that I'm making using a similar process. But for now we're kind of swinging back to game development and looking at that a little bit. Game assets, game development, that kind of stuff. So let's take a look at what we're working on here. So this is the ship viewer of the game, and these are the glowing drive bits that we've added. And then I've replaced the shader that I'm using for these glowing radiators with a new one. I actually need to re-enable some things here though. And I'm testing on the ship. I have an old shader and this new glow shader, and I have the upper fin set to, let me get this out of the way. I have the upper fin set to the new shader and the lower fin set to the old shader, so we can make sure that they look the same. And they were looking different, and it was because I had put a wrong color in. But something that we're doing now is kind of redoing how some of these inputs and things are set, and I'm trying to be more principled about not having constants mixed into the code and stuff like that. So okay, so I was debugging this by only looking at the emission part of this shader, but we're going to bring it back to everything, and we're going to do the same thing here in our glow shader. Okay. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, so now we've got the diffuse on there, so you can kind of see the shape a little bit better. It's still got the glow. And that upper and lower radiator really look similar at this point now. So one of the differences with this approach is the color is no longer baked into the model. The model is just black and white vertex colors, and we're specifying those colors that it's glowing, hence what's creating the gradient through shader inputs. But I went through and I updated the model. I updated the models everywhere to, let's see here, I updated the models to get rid of the color and just use ones. Oh nice, did I actually already fix everything? Is everything actually already using the new shaders properly? Let's check here. So I also updated so that the materials can specify these glow colors. So if I do something like make this that should change the colors, and it should change the colors of everything. Yeah, okay, good. So these are actually already all working. Mostly all working anyway. What I want to do tonight is go through and fix some of these. Let's see here. So just that lower shader, or the lower radiator on this one, we've got to switch to here. Now, something else that I want to do here is, so we're going to go through and we're going to add these glowing drive details to a bunch of these ships tonight. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so we're going to, because this is in the material now. Before we do that though, I want to fix something about how the materials are loaded. So I have this kind of awkward map right now that, like, given a material name, it can optionally choose a new shader for it, and I want to actually just put that in the material itself, so there's no ambiguity. And so let's do that quick. So we have our materials. These are basically just dictionaries that loaded in. There's no, you know, like, backing object for this stuff. So basically we're going to have an extra field, an optional field here that just says shader with the name of the shader that we're going to use. And what is currently doing that is this logic. Let's see here. Actually, it's in here. It's called this material is shader. And I want to get rid of this and say something like shader equals oh yeah, and actually I want to do that right here. So at this point, if material is not none, I'm liking this new music. We're gonna grab it out of shader in material. Oh, actually, no, that's already there. Okay. Shader. Yeah. So if shader is specified for the model, that's going to override this. So this is kind of like a default that we're specifying. So shader equals material shader. Now, if I run this, because I got rid of this logic, I'm not using this anymore, we should just see all white. Actually, yeah, it's all black actually. Yeah, because it's using the default shader for those. Let's see here, and that should be okay. So now we'll add it into here, and actually I'm going to bring back the old one here. Okay, so So we can say shader glow and shader red. Yeah. Whoops. Oh, okay. Yeah, now I've got to toss. There's another place here where. Oh. Missing something. Score. Okay. So, 30. Why is this getting constructed? Let's just let's take care of this up here properly. This is just logic for building the Panda 3D materials from the configuration. And this is using okay. Just for making some headway here. We're using an older shading model that was kind of used in games, maybe like in the early 2000s, where we have diffuse shininess, emission, specular, and it's not really physically accurate, but it has a particular look. And it kind of looks like an advanced version of the more primitive smooth shaded graphics that I'm trying to emulate here. So it's definitely what we want to use here. Okay, what's going on with this? Unknown type passed to shader input. Okay, let's take a look at this error message a little bit more clearly. So this is the path where we're going through glows. Oh, okay. Shucks, I forgot about this logic. We've got this too. Let's see if we can figure out how to deal with this. Let's get rid of this. This is what we want, but where's my logic for setting this? Okay, this is it, right? There's shader inputs and material. Well, what's going on here? So we're running into the problems with the this should be fine. So why isn't rad shader? Oh. There we go. Oh gosh, it's this, all of this stuff needs to be just ripped out and gotten rid of. Okay. So what we can do now is we can get rid of, I have some special logic here for finding the glow shaders and setting these attributes, which we don't. Which we don't need anymore. Except we do want to do this, but we don't want to do this for radiators. So we want to let's just see what happens without this. I think, okay. But probably what's going to happen now is our radiators are going to glow with the, yeah. So that isn't what we want. Gotta think about this. So I need like a property to indicate here, because I have this special glowing part thing. I need a way to indicate that that part should have this behavior. So I'm checking the shader right now, which is not the most robust thing. That, yeah, it really shouldn't be the shader. There should be some other way of indicating this. Eventually I want to get rid of this logic too, because it's just a mess. Okay, well, So what do we have? We at least have a new way of describing this. And let's see here. Where is this coming from? Oh, that's just, yeah, that's just the default glow threading. Okay. Okay. I think what we need to do props. That's what we need. We need to, I might actually, let's see, I might already have a way of doing this here. So P3D into 3D model tree. So I can set this, I can set shaders here. Properties. Oh yeah. Yeah, like marking is a property. So glow can be a property too. Let's take a look at how that is being done. Like for the sky. Okay. Yeah. Oh, nice. Hello, Jersey. How are you doing today? Okay, yeah, we can just add a prop for glow. Yeah, that's what we'll do. So handle properties here. Yeah, we've got glow. We have two-sided. Or yeah, markings and two-sided. We'll have glow equals model info dot props dot get glow. False. Yeah. And if glow, we'll set a tag. I might as well just do this as a Python tag. Now, when we're, so this is kind of just logic for constructing the game entities. So when we find, instead of finding shader equals glow, we gotta search for that tag. So let's see. So I always forget exactly how searching the scene graph works. So it's equals tag. Oh yeah, and yeah, shader's a tag already, so it's just equals glow instead of shader equals glow. Okay. Nice. So Jersey says, I'm fine even though I cannot sleep. Today may be not the most accurate word. It's still night in Europe. Okay, interesting. So I'm in Wisconsin in the United States, and it's about 11 p.m. on Tuesday where I am. So is it still the middle of the night there in Europe? And if you don't mind me asking, what country are you from? There we go. Okay. Now my drives are not glowing, but that is because I need to set these. Bring this logic back for now. Okay, nice. Wednesday in Poland. Okay, cool. I thought you might be from Poland, and I apologize for mispronouncing your name. I probably don't have any idea how to pronounce it, but okay. Oh shucks, our glow is still not working. Let's debug this a little bit now. Okay, so if we go back to our ship viewer, let's see what we have. Okay, so yeah, now our drives are missing. Oh yeah, they're missing because jeez. I'm not operating at at full capacity here. They're missing because I haven't actually marked them with that property. Jeez. Okay. And just for reference, yeah, props marking, so I just need to say props glow is true. Yeah, this is good because it's separating the logic dealing with like game behavior from the way stuff is displayed, which is what we want to do. Okay, so he says pronunciation is something like yeshi. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Yeshi. Yeah. So, in Wisconsin, there are quite a few people that have like a Polish background, so there's Polish names, and there's also a lot of like Czech people. I actually have some Czech ancestry myself, so there's some names like that have kind of pronunciations that we're not used to, but I'm sure even the way we pronounce them is like not how they're actually pronounced. Over the generations, pronunciations have been lost and everything. So, all right, let's see if this works now. Yes. Okay, there we go. I think this is working now. Okay, FPV says love IntelliJ. Yeah. So this is PyCharm, of course, but yeah, I love JetBrains IDs myself. I've been using VS Code some in my day job, and I maybe don't mind it, but I really like IntelliJ. Okay, this is, so I've added these properties in, and this still is not working. So let's see here. Gonna do a little bit of debugging with printouts. So are we finding these things? So we're gonna print the name of the entity, and we're gonna print our list of the glowing parts, and we're gonna break for some input here. So there's two entities in this scene. There's the space station and the ship. So yeah, okay, there's nothing there for either of them. So I'm probably not doing my find correctly. Oops. Any node that has indicated tag. Oh, I bet I just didn't get that logic right. Prop circuit marking. If glow. That should do it, right? Okay, so that's not working at all. Okay, so Yeshi says, yep, Polish minority in USA is estimated for 7 million. Seems a lot, however, in 3 to 4 generations, those guys got almost totally Americanized, and 4th generation doesn't speak Polish at all. Yeah, the US is really interesting because, especially where I live in the Midwest, many people are only a couple generations removed from people who lived in Europe. Like, my great-grandfather on my dad's side came to the US from, I believe, Luxembourg, and on my mom's side I have ancestors that were like my great-great-grandparents that came to the US. But they definitely, you know, they spoke a few words, they told us about it, but like nobody carried on those languages, at least through their families. So FLVGZ says game engine. So I'm using an engine called Panda 3D. It's an older engine that was actually developed by Disney and Carnegie Mellon University back in the day, and it's a neat engine for game development with Python. So I'm a software research engineer. I do a lot of work with Python in my day job, so I wanted to just build my game in Python, just for fun and convenience. Oh, nice. And FLVG says, same, my great-grandparents came from Norway on both my family sides. Nice. Yeah, I have a mix of things. Germany, England, Czechoslovakia, and yeah, I think that's kind of the main, mostly German for me. Okay, so why is this not working? My props are not getting set here. If this is a YAML issue, I'm gonna oh, nice. Yeah. FLVGZ says to Minnesota. Nice. I lived in Wisconsin, so probably pretty close by. Let's see here. Okay. This is really odd. Why this isn't. Why this isn't going. Let's just take a look at the properties here and see if there's anything that we're missing. We're just making some basic error here. Yeah, so one IFPV says, can you not do breakpoint debugging with the setup? You certainly could. I actually, I've never really learned to debug with breakpoints too well. Usually I find I can get at what I want pretty quick with printouts. And it's always on my to-do list to like do proper breakpoint debugging, but I'm not like super familiar with it. So I usually find I prefer to just do printouts. this isn't going to get us what we want. So, like, I mean, I know you can even do stuff like conditional breakpoints and stuff, but you can kind of just do the same thing with code. That's what I'm going to try to do here. So I'm going to try to break when we have that thing that we're looking for here. So where our file name contains glow. So file name. But I've tried multiple times to force myself to learn the keyboard shortcuts for what happened there? Oh. I tried to learn multiple times to learn like the keyboard shortcuts for breakpoints, and I haven't. Marking equals true. What? Yeah. When IFPV says printf debugging is the OG, when you're good at it, works everywhere. Yeah. And there's lots of other little tricks. Oh, that's weird. So what is going on here? Marking is true. Wait a second. Marking is true, but not glow. Did I? So Yeshi says, you don't work as a programmer? No, I do. So, well, programmer is probably not quite the right word. So for about 10 years, I've worked in, like as a software research engineer. So, software engineering, but with a focus on, like research and development type things. And mostly with a focus on machine learning and computer vision related projects. So currently working more in computer vision than machine learning, but I've kind of run the whole gamut. And that's why I like Python's. Python's kind of my bread and butter. I really like it as a language, and it's fun to work on my personal projects in it as well. Okay, so this is really odd. So just to back up, get out of the weeds here. So the problem is I'm trying to load this YAML file, and I'm expecting this glow field to show up in properties on these models. But instead, I'm getting a marking property, which is really strange. I'm wondering, okay. I know what's going on. I know what's going on. Okay. I know what's going on. So I can't actually use these properties here because they're getting overwritten by the properties that are getting loaded out of the model files. So I need to put the glow property in there, And that's not what I want. So eventually I'll come back to this and fix it. For now, it's going to go in there. So, you know, this I guess this isn't all bad because this is more of like a functionality thing rather than a rendering thing, but it still works. Ball says, very cool, now recreate the entirety of SolidWorks. Yeah, there's marking. And let's see here. Yeah. Okay, we can get rid of that input because it's screwing things up. So Ball says, very cool, now recreate the entirety of SolidWorks. Yeah, I mean, the idea here is to do some pretty advanced 3D modeling with programming. I'm not SolidWorks. Is that CAD? Yeah. So this is what I'm doing here is a little different than CAD. I know this is it's not really like necessarily a serious comment, but something interesting to talk about. So what I'm doing here is a little different than CAD in that it's programmatic modeling, but I kind of am planning from the beginning that I am working on 3D meshes. So I'm not trying to do something. The workflow is like non-destructive, but I'm also not working with primitives. I'm always working with the 3D mesh. And I've kind of thought about a more CAD-like workflow, but the thing is you don't really need that when you're doing it programmatically, because if you want more resolution or you want something to work in a different non-destructive way, you can just change the code. So that's something that makes it a little different than CAD. And One Eye FPV says, oh, nice computer vision. Recently, I dabbled on a little project to detect when a drone flies through a racing gate from a drone live stream. I was using Go with OpenCV. Cool. Yeah, I've done a lot with OpenCV over the years. Usually just kind of using it for basic image processing, but you can definitely do some powerful stuff with OpenCV. And Joe says, hi. Hello, Joe. Okay. So if I go back, let's get rid of these inputs. Still don't have those glow NPs. So what's going on here? Did I not actually rerun the... I probably didn't rerun the model export. Not looking good. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's get glow. Let's try this again. Okay, good. So we're getting... we're getting as far as this, right? So we're setting... oh, I bet I know what I'm doing. Let's see here. Ball says it's mechanical engineering software. Being a student myself, Love that I stopped by here. I got to go back to my midnight study streak. Good luck. Hey, good luck to your you with your study, and I hope to see you again sometime. Okay. I'm searching right, so why am I not seeing these? We're setting a tag now where find all matches. Let's try this just once. No, jeez. And see if I do this with shader equals glow. There it is. And the only thing I can think is I'm not searching the right. I'm not searching the right hierarchy, but let's see. When IFPV says, so you're trying to chromatically set the glow using the value from the YAML. Yeah, so we'll back up here a little bit. So the idea here is that we have these ships, and there's a couple different things that are going on here. So we are building. Let me. Got these inputs here that are getting in the way. Let's see. Okay, so this YAML file. So there's a couple different YAML files. There's a YAML file that represents kind of like the model hierarchy of the ship. and that contains some information about like different properties of the different subcomponents of the ship. And then there's another YAML file that's like all the materials, and that contains information about like material properties and shader inputs and stuff like that. So what we're trying to do right now is there's a special list in the game object. So there's kind of two halves to the game object. There's the model, and then there's the stuff that deals with the logic of the game. And in the logic part, there's a list of a subset of those glowing components that we want to manage and use some special logic for, because what I want to happen in the game is for like the glowing drives, when I'm like accelerating, I want them to glow, and when I stop accelerating, I want them to stop. So I have a property that I'm adding that says this piece should be part of that special logic for glow that changes when I'm accelerating. And for some reason I'm having trouble getting that to hook up. So it's there, and what I'm trying to do is I'm saying if that marking or if that glow property is present, I'm going to set a tag on the node path. And the node path is kind of like the model in the game engine. So if that tag is set on the node path, then that node path should go into a special list of node paths that we update with this glow logic. Forcing it to be true is a good idea. I think the problem is that it sort of like as far as I can tell, it is already being set to true. So there's like during creation, if it has this property, the node path that's created has this setting. But then when I come back later and search the model tree, I'm not finding those things. So like if I look for the node paths that have a tag that says you should use the glow shader, those all come back. When I search for this glow tag, it doesn't. And that's the odd thing. Let me just open this in a separate view here. So, and I'm also like applying a specific color because we're going to be controlling those colors and stuff through the game logic. And eventually I'm going to do something similar with the radiators as well. There's going to be like a heat setting that the game logic is aware of, and then that'll be reflected in the colors of the radiators changing. Okay. This whole system is always a little bit fragile in terms of setting things and picking up pieces later. And what I'm trying to work through with some of this is kind of removing some of those kinks. AJ Cardenas says, "Remember me? How you been?" I'm not sure. But if you've been here before and you're back, it's good to see you again, AJ. So when I FPV, so I see when you're setting it, and then later you check the tree, nothing is tagged as glow. Yeah, that's what's happening. And the weird thing is, like, other things are being tagged, right? So like I can search for, and actually I can actually just do an exit here because the ship is the first model. So the radiator itself definitely has the tag for the shader being set to glow, but we don't have anything that has the glow tag itself. Let me just see. Oh. I wonder if that's it. See, there's two ways of setting tags. There's like a general property with set tag, and then there's set Python tag. And maybe this thing doesn't actually find set Python tags. Now the question is, though, I think set tag we can only set strings. Let's just see if this works. So instead of set Python tag of glow being true, let's just set tag and whoops, set tag and glow, just set it to dirt. Yeah, that. So one IFPV says this sort of issue reminds me of scoping problems. Yeah, see, there it is. He says this reminds me of scoping problems when you modify an object, but it turns out it's a copy. Yeah, I was kind of worried that something like that was going on, but it actually just appears that I can't search Python tags with find all matches. So that actually makes me feel better because that to me is very unintuitive. And I don't feel dumb for having run into that. Let's see here. So scene graph. Let's see if it says anything about this. Python. Yeah, you know, okay, so tag doesn't say anything about all right, so basically we just want to keep this as a now let's see if this looks right. So we should have 4. Yep. Okay, good. So you evidently can't search Python tags with find all matches, only just the standard tags. All right. Yeah, so again, 1IFPV, to kind of answer your question, the idea is we're marking these things as having a special function in the game logic. And then we're going to search the graph, find them, add them to a list, and we also have a separately defined color for these things that we're going to apply. So here we're actually going to be overriding whatever the material's color is. So that's part of this too. All right, I bet this is going to work now. No! 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 Why? Okay, so we definitely have the right things here. Yeah, the engines are still off. Oh no. Let's see if what it looks like in the ship viewer. Oh. Yeah, and it looks like they're not. Okay, no, they're there. Okay. So the question is now, why are they still off? So it could be that they don't have the right shader on them, or the logic, my update logic is kind of worked now. Or it could be that I don't have the right material on them. So we've got the glow material. The glow material. Oh. Oh no. Yeah. So the radiators are glowing, but glow. Gotta close my door here. I'll be back in a second. Okay, we're going to revisit. I think there's one other spot where some logic is getting in the way. We've got our radiators are glowing properly because we have the shader. Here, this is set up. We don't need these shader inputs here because for these special parts, we're setting the colors. One thing I can try is I can actually set these both to color B. Nope. That's not doing it. Then there still might be some leftover logic that's kind of interfering with this. In here. Let's see if we're getting as far as this. Yeah, one IFPV says maybe glowing at infrared so we can't see it. Yeah, so it's like, it seems like the problem now is that that shader isn't actually getting set on these parts, which stumps me because actually, let's go back to the ship viewer because let's see, that makes it pretty easy to see what's going on. Actually doesn't make it easy to see. There's some other entities being built that kind of get in the way. Yeah. So one IFPV says, dumb question, are you sure the game logic part is actually enabling the glow when you accelerate? Yeah, so I actually built that part out, and it worked. that is kind of operating on the node paths once they're in that list, and that did work before. That's the next thing I will check, but I don't think that is the issue. I think what we're running into is we're running into that shader not getting set properly because we're not hitting this properly. And actually here, let's just make this simple, and let's just get rid of this space station, so we just have the one entity. Okay, so we do have the glow shader being set on rad upper, but not on these bits. So, oh, geez. YAML fail. My gosh. Yep, there it is. Here we go. There we go. There it is. Did you see that? I didn't have it indented right in my YAML file. Oh my gosh. Because this is the name, a description, and then the actual material itself, so it was falling outside. This is the problem with defaults and allowing things to be missing, is you can think it's there, but it's not. Okay. How terrible. Wow. Yeah, so let's take a look at this now. Now that things are working. Where were we? It was, I think, lighting. And then see a lot of this stuff. A lot of this stuff. A lot of this stuff is going to go away because this is extra. Oh, so one IFBB says, lol, search on Google for the YAML document from hell. I haven't seen that, but I believe it. I used to keep stuff in JSON format, and it got too annoying to edit, but YAML is just, I can never remember the syntax for, you know, like when how stuff has to be specified for, like, whether it's a list or whatever. And it's too easy to, like, do something with it that you don't mean. Let's bring that space station back. Okay, so we have our glowing drives now. When we accelerate, they glow. When we're not accelerating, they stop glowing. And this is all we got rid of. We got rid of this map. So now shaders are specified in the material. Now in here, in lighting, I think, like, this logic isn't doing anything, so we only need logic in here for when, well, this is like renaming. So, like, yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I can fix. So this is just, at this point now, this is like handle shaders that have particular inputs, and we could probably replace this with general logic that just finds tags. General logic that has tags that start with shader. And you know what? So so this is, yeah, and then this is kind of separate. This is work in progress. This is like this is like, what this is doing is this is allowing us to have some distinct shader names that point to the same underlying shader. Get rid of. That, and this is because there's a few places where there's places in the code base where I'm using this rad shader, and that's being phased out in favor of this glow shader. So eventually we want to get rid of this. Doug Y says, late arrival and missed the glow shading video from last week. What is being measured by your parameters? Can you be more specific? I'm not sure what you mean by parameters there. Or maybe you mean, do you mean like when I'm setting the shader parameters, like how am I like what is setting how strong the engines are glowing? Is that what you're asking? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's actually, I can show you that. Basically, there's a number of different ways to, or a number of different things you could do. And something I'm always thinking about in this project is like balancing things being like physically accurate with things being straightforward to compute. And one thing with my game is I'm not modeling like the thrust from individual thrusters and engines at the moment. That's something, a rabbit hole I could go down in the future, but right now ships kind of have overall amount of thrust, like a max amount of thrust and a max amount of angular acceleration. So what it basically does, this is the logic. So what it basically does is it looks at the direction that your ship is pointing and the direction of the acceleration, and it projects the acceleration direction onto the direction that you're moving. And then we look at the absolute value of that and we compare it, we normalize it basically by the maximum acceleration that your ship can have. So that number is going to be between 0 and 1. And then that's basically how strong the glow is, but then we sort of step towards that over a certain amount of time. So it kind of fades in and fades out. So the idea is your ship has like its sort of main engines, and then it has other thrusters and stuff that could be used for translations or turning or whatever, but like if you are changing direction, like those main engines are going to be like firing in the direction that you're facing. So however much of that acceleration that you currently have is coming from the main engines is how much glow there should be. Um, One IFPD says you could write a JSON schema for your config and validate the config when it's loaded. That will avoid this sort of bug. Exactly. And I'm doing that for the ships. I'm not doing it for the materials. So I'll just show you, like if I were to put something in here like just like a random parameter here, I would expect this to not work. Let's see. Put myself on the spot here. Oh nope, it does. Nice. Great job. Okay, certain things, certain classes and objects are gonna have a yeah. So like that fails it. Certain classes and kinds of objects are gonna fail if they have like extra fields or certain fields aren't present. Like I think, yeah. So like mass wasn't present, so it failed. The models or the materials are just basically loaded as a dictionary. So what would be a nice thing to do is actually have some kind of backing object for these and then parse it. Yeah, one IFPV says takes your sample config and asks ChatGPT to create a JSON schema from it. Yeah, there's a few more steps and involved, but it would also be pretty straightforward. Like none of this stuff is super complicated. As you saw, it wasn't like a huge error. It was just kind of like not having one thing at the right indent level, so it wouldn't be too hard to write up. Okay, let's, just as long as I'm thinking of it, I want to fix something here, which is I want these guys to be shader input, not shader. And let's see here. Yeah, that looks like it's still working. All right, now let's see if we can get rid of this stuff that I said to get rid of. I would really like to get rid of this guy. Okay, so one IFPD says another dummy question: can this information not be encoded in the model itself? Well, it could be, but I'm trying a little bit to separate some things, and I'm kind of searching sometimes and trying to figure out what the best way to do that is. But ideally, I have models, and they're kind of a distinct thing from the game logic, and they're also kind of distinct from like game specific rendering stuff. And I have this system already that is sort of doing that, because I'm generating these models and I have sort of different destinations for them, right? I can like do these cool wireframe renders, I can put them in my game, I can load them into Blender, which I haven't really shown tonight, so you haven't seen, but I can load them into Blender. I have like high detail versions, and I'm also working on a pipeline for 3D printing them. So I want to try to keep certain things separate. that adding that tag for glow is a little bit less than ideal, but it's probably, or not the tag, but like the prop is like a little bit less than ideal, but I think it works okay. So that's kind of the logic for like why isn't all this just attached to the models? Like the models are going multiple different places than just the game. Okay, let me see where else we're still. Yeah, and there are no dumb questions here at all. I consider myself to kind of be a lifelong learner, and I'm happy to answer questions about why I'm doing stuff. And throughout this project, part of the fun for me is like coming up with the data structures and ways of building this stuff out, and it's gone through a lot of iterations as I've moved towards better and better ways of doing things. But that's part of the fun. So I definitely appreciate the questions about it. One IFPV says, I have to go, but we'll sub. Looking forward to the 3D or 3MF or STLs to print these ships. Yeah, stay tuned. That's definitely on the backlog. And I've got a couple of live streams, if you look, where I'm working on some things related to the 3D printing workflow. And I was actually working on that a little bit over the past few days, and I'm probably going to pick that up in another stream over the next couple days as well. So I'm driving real hard towards getting some different versions of the ships 3D printed, and there's some interesting issues with that in terms of, you know, we want the models to be watertight to be able to have these certain properties when we're preparing them for printing. So there's some interesting issues there for sure. So yeah, thanks so much for coming and all the good questions. It's fun chatting with people who are interested in this stuff. Okay, so I got rid of this. I don't know where I'm still using this though. Let's just see. Okay, so the only place I'm actually setting that shader tag directly is here. That's good. So it should always be coming through. Yeah, so this is migrating up the shader from the material to the model. And then I'm only ever setting that tag through here. So shader name, I think. think we can phase this out. And I can actually just add something here that kind of deprecates this. I can just force quit here. Yeah, okay. I think we're good. I think we're good here. Because eventually these should be migrated over to glow as well. But I think we've kind of straightened out these kinks, because to-do, yeah, to-do is going to be replaced with general logic that finds tags that start with shader input. But the question is, as we learned today, but let's find all matches. Let's find all matches able to find Python tags. That is the question. All right. Well, let's keep going with this a little bit, and let's add the glowing drives to one or two more ships, as long as we're kind of in the thick of stuff. We've got our radiator material and our glow material working. We've got our logic for finding the parts that have the glowing parameters set by the game logic working. Everything seems to be working in our ship viewer. This is actually still using the both old and new radiator material, and they both look the same. Let's just double check that. Yeah, yep. So we've got the glowing drives on two of our ships so far, the Rakan and the Hammond. So let's add it to whoops. Ooh, there's an interesting one. Ooh. That's interesting. That's a... There's an interesting bug that I'll have to work through. So it looks like the Hammond has some kind of oh, I bet I know I bet that's the Let me just try to debug this quick. See if it's a particular component of this that is yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, this is strange. So I'm getting two different errors. An error that normal offset scale is not present. And also an unknown type passed to shader input. Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to look at that some other time. I'm not sure what is going on there. But let's yeah, that's really odd. I'm let me actually, let's just try to debug this quick. I bet that this normal offset scale thing is not a real problem. And I bet the problem is with one of these. Here's all the different points where we set this normal offset scale is set there. That's the only place where that's set. And that is going to be set on like everything. So I think somehow it's probably one of these three that's not getting set. Because I think that's the only... Yeah, glow shader on here. So I think that's the only... Let me set this to load the Hammond right away. So it should crash right away. Yep. I think this is a fake error. And we're gonna just print these guys out.
God was calling me to Karl, has never left me since.
What did your father and mother say when you told them this?
Well, they knew it would be the hardest thing.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's why. Because on the Hammond, I didn't add that marking in yet. Oh, jeez. Okay, so we've got to add that in here. So and or yeah, not marking, but glow. Okay, yep, there we go. Okay. So yeah, let's add glowing drives to the Sayuda, because we haven't given this ship too much attention lately. I'm just gonna close all this stuff. So something that I was working on was like pulling the functionality to make the glow kind of out into nice functions. So should be pretty easy to copy and paste some of this. So for each of the 4 drives, we've got a front and rear. And let's just use this proper name. Using these constants to name things is probably be a good idea to get back to that. Oops. Oops. Okay, so it looks like the front of the drives are at -4 and 4, and I think this has the scale factor as well that we might have to deal with, but that should be okay. So let's get this in here. Mesh. So now we just need these two things. And let's just grab this guy out in our bench. We'll make these module level or constants up in the module a little later. That actually could be something that we do tonight, is clean some of this stuff up. But let's just try to get it up and running first. So looks like we want something like 0.7, maybe 0.1. The awkward part about this model is that when I first started making these, I would kind of make everything with nice numbers, and then I'd apply a scale factor at the end. And that really does not work nice for some of this stuff, especially when you start going back and adding other details. And that's something that I find myself having to deal with here. So we've got this in Blender. I'm assuming I just have the offsets wrong here. Oh, actually, I'm just probably not adding them in, because we've got glow parts. Let's dry parts. Glow. Yeah, there they are. You can see the Z fighting there. Okay. And let's see if they show up here too. Yeah. What I probably am going to do once I get this working, we'll get everything working, and then we'll angle those gaps so that they kind of line up with angles of the supports. That would look cool. We could also do like a different, we could do like two. That would look cool. We can experiment with some different stuff. Let's actually get the Scioto up in the ship viewer first, and then fix up the YAML file. Oops. So we gotta exclude. Okay, and then now we have to add the glow in. Oh, and we have to add the props in too. So props. Oh yeah, no, but not here. That's elsewhere. So here. I'm not sure how I feel about this new music. It is so intense, it kind of is getting me worked up. It's definitely keeping me awake. Okay. And let's see here. Did we get the props in flow? School is true. And just run. Whoops. This. Support our models. And there we go. Okay, now let's tweak this a little bit. So let's try just two pieces on each one with the things angled a little bit. So mesh, wrong. Mesh equals do 2 and let's see here. Definitely want that a little bit bigger. Whoops. Regenerate models first. Yep, okay, so now I just have to rotate it by, I think 90 degrees? And either direction should work, right? So if I mesh u dot rotation y 90 degrees. Generate it. Let's take a look. Yeah. Yep, and that basically looks like I want it to. There's definitely some other fixes that we need to do with this model, but overall it's looking really good. Yeah, okay. Let's do one more ship just to check another one off the list and then call it good for tonight. So let's get the Ashinoko. And this one doesn't have the scale issues and everything, so this one should go a lot quicker. mesh. Got this same stuff. And here we have our constant set up a little bit nicer. So we have drive len. So let's add these things in. So rad we'll do like 4.5. Equals 5. Arcs we'll do probably 3. We could give a little bit bigger gap here, so maybe something like 5 by 32 gap. All right, let's bring it back into the bench. See how it looks. Oh, and we've got to add. Let's actually get rid of that shroud too while we're at it. Try to keep the naming of things consistent, but it's not always like super necessary. Okay, yep, and these are too big. Oops. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Yeah, so we've got this bevel at the end. So this needs to be a lot smaller, something like 3.5, probably something like 0.3. Ah, still smaller. 3. That more or less looks like what I want. Okay. Oops. Okay, now we just need to add, whoops. We just need to add the glow into our YAML file here. And start seeing some patterns here that we can copy. There we go. And let's see here. I think we want them to be a little bit smaller yet and a little bit thicker. Maybe not a little bit thicker, but a little bit smaller. Let's actually, I kind of want the gap to be pointing in as well too. So what kind of rotation is that? I think it's a 180 degree rotation. So let's fix that. Yeah, that is looking good. Oh, interesting. So here's something actually we could do here is the front ones could be bigger than the rear ones. They should be bigger. that's actually a good tweak to put on the backlog for another time. Alright, well, I think we made some really good progress today. So we kind of finished working through the system that I built for assigning shader inputs based on materials, and worked some kinks out of that. Ran some kind of stupid bugs, but worked through them. Got some cool new music to listen to this time. And then we added these drive glow pieces to a couple of ships that we didn't have before, so we can kind of check those off the project to do list. Actually, I'm gonna show that quick. So I added some columns here for some of this new stuff. So like drive glow now has its own column because that's something that I'm working on. I think we can pretty much check this off for the for the Scioto, and we started it for the Ashinoko. And then I mentioned that I'm working on some 3D printing stuff. So I've got new columns here for low poly and high poly 3D printing. Basically, to do the 3D printing, we need to get the to be able to print it, we want to have the components all be watertight, and then modify certain components for printing. So like certain things are too thin, so we want to have a process for modifying those. And then actually, this, instead of connections, this should be called connectors. Then we also are going to have to design ways of fitting those parts together. So that's kind of what connectors entails. So we'll be checking some of this off for more of the fleet over the next couple weeks. I'm hoping to stream more often. I mentioned at the beginning of the stream that just had a new baby here a couple days ago, so I'm on paternity leave, and I'd like to stream a lot more often. I might be doing some more lunchtime streams or morning streams, so we're gonna make some really good headway and hopefully check a lot more of this off. Another thing I want to do, probably the part of this that I've worked the least on, is some of the big space stations and the space dock, and it'd be really great to make some good headway on those over the next few weeks, including collision stuff, and that's a capability that I'm building out, but it would be good to hit that for the sake of the game. We also have high detail stuff, and I've got a nice backlog of high detail 3D model stuff to work on, and I'd like to get some of that going back again, so I'm ready to make new high detail scenes as well. But yeah, some good progress tonight. Thanks everyone for hanging out. It's good to see everybody. Doug, One Eye FPV, I think is gone again, but already was good to talk to you. Nice to see AJ, Cardenas, Balls, Joe, and Yeshi. It was fun talking about Poland and stuff. Hope to see you guys again. So yeah, and always good to see you, Doug. So yeah, thanks again for coming, and stay tuned. We'll have I'm sure we'll have some more streams pretty soon. Bye.